My name is Catherine Williams, and I'm a 34-year-old stay-at-home mom. I'm raising a 7-year-old son, Ken. My husband, Bob, works at a bank, and we've been married for 10 years. Bob and I met during college and got close through the same club. I was drawn to his kindness and reliability, and naturally, we became a couple, eventually getting married after graduation. Bob has built his career as a banker, and I worked as a secretary. However, after our child was born, I chose to focus on our family. Now that Ken has started elementary school, I'm considering going back to work. I have a great relationship with my in-laws, who always support our family. My father-in-law, Ronnie, is a great person to talk to, sharing his life wisdom and being a dependable presence. Plus, Ronnie is extremely fond of his grandson, Ken, and looks forward to his future. My mother-in-law, Sarah, is also very kind and always treats me warmly, so I cherish my relationship with them. However, lately, Bob has been acting strange. It seems like he's been getting messages on his phone frequently, and he always has a weird smile while looking at it. That's creepy. Why are you grinning at your phone?
Oh, just some funny messages from my friend at work.
Oh, I see. I pretended to be convinced, but deep down, my doubts didn't go away. One day, while Bob was in the shower, I looked at his phone. What is this? His phone was filled with messages like, I want to see you and I had a great time today. The sender was a woman named Karen Brown. Looking at their exchanges, it was clear that they were meeting secretly. I knew it. He's cheating. Why? I was shocked, but I couldn't confront Bob about it. I was scared that our marriage would fall apart. However, Bob's behavior became even more suspicious. He started leaving home frequently, claiming to be on business trips, and I spent my days waiting for him to return. Another business trip?
Yeah, and urgent jobs came up.
You've had a lot of business trips lately. Is there a big deal or something?
Well, something like that. Don't worry.
I couldn't hide my concern, but I had no choice but to trust Bob's words. While Bob was on one of his trips, my best friend, Emma, came over.
Sorry for dropping by so suddenly, Catherine.
No, it's totally fine. What's up? You wanted to talk about something?
Well, this social media account caught my attention. Look at this.
Emma pointed to a social media account.
Isn't this Bob's account?
The account name was different, but there were personal photos that made it clear it was Bob's. He had posted photos from his business trip there. It's definitely Bob. But why? The photos showed Bob's profile along with a woman. That woman was definitely Karen Brown, the same one I saw on Bob's phone. I can't believe this. Who posts something like this on social media? This wasn't a business trip. This was an affair.
Let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
Thanks, Emma. When Bob got home, I decided to confront him.
I'm home. Man, that trip wore me out.
Bob, what's with those photos?
What are you talking about? I just got home.
The photos posted on social media. The ones with you and that woman.
You were snooping on my social media?
I found them by accident. You said it was a business trip. So what's going on?
She was part of the same project, and we had some time to do a little sightseeing.
Sightseeing? You two look awfully close for that.
There's really nothing going on. Don't be suspicious for no reason.
Bob seemed desperate to explain himself. Since I didn't have solid proof, I decided to keep an eye on things for now. One day, I got a call from Bob's office saying he had been rushed to the hospital with acute gastroenteritis. I rushed to the hospital with the whole family. When we arrived at the hospital room, there was a woman who looked like Karen and a child waiting there. What's going on? I was filled with shock and confusion. The woman smiled coldly and said, "Here's the divorce papers," handing me the documents. What? Divorce papers? Yes. This is Bob's request. Bob, is this true? I confronted Bob as he lay in bed.
Yes, I'm marrying Karen. This child is ours. Sign the papers and get out.
The child looked about 3 years old. No way. You even have a secret child? I felt anger, but also sadness. I had trusted Bob all this time, and now he's doing this to me. At that moment, Bob's dad, Ronnie, who had come with me, burst into the room laughing.
You don't know anything, do you?
Ronnie said, scattering a bunch of documents.
Dad, what? What is this?
Bob asked his dad with a nervous look.
Proof of all the infidelity you've committed.
What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about are all the things you've done. It's all here.
Ronnie replied calmly.
Catherine, I'm glad we made it in time.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Did you say that Catherine asked for this?
Yes, that's right. I got Ronnie to help me. The truth is, I had already talked to Ronnie about Bob's strange behavior. When I first noticed Bob acting weird, I thought about talking to my in-laws, so I went over to their house. I've always been able to talk to them about anything, and they always told me, if anything happens, come to us. I knew this was the time. Ronnie, a former banker, is like a real dad to me, always guiding me on the right path. Their home is a place where I can feel safe. When I arrived, my mother-in-law, Sarah, greeted me with a warm smile.
Catherine, it's been a while. What's wrong? Did something happen?
Yes, actually, I need some advice.
Just a moment. I'll go get Ronnie.
Thank you. She went to get Ronnie for me.
Catherine, what's going on?
Bob's been acting really strange lately.
Bob's been acting strange?
Ronnie gave me a sharp look. Yes, he seems to be getting messages on his phone all the time, and he always has his weird smile when he looks at it. And then there's the sudden increase in business trips. He's been away from home a lot more.
That does sound concerning. Do you know exactly what kind of messages he's been receiving?
Yes. Actually, the other day, while Bob was in the shower, I looked at his phone. There were numerous messages like, "I want to see you," and "I had a great time today." The sender was a woman named Karen Brown, and it was clear they were meeting secretly.
Karen Brown, huh?
Ronnie thought deeply, his expression serious. And he's been posting photos on social media from these trips, and there are pictures of him and Karen looking really happy together.
What? Posting pictures with another woman on social media. What the hell is Bob thinking?
I don't think these are just business trips. They seem more like affair getaways. I spoke through my tears.
What a fool Bob is, even though he has you and Ken. What is he thinking?
Catherine, I understand how you feel. That is worrying.
Ronnie said it gently to me.
If Bob is really cheating, we need to make sure of it.
Ronnie, what should I do?
Leave it to me. You know, I'm not just a former banker. I hate to brag, but I was once a well-known figure in both domestic and international financial markets. Even though I'm retired now, I still have a lot of connections. I even helped Bob get into the bank. I'll look into Bob's activities thoroughly.
I knew you were a former banker, Ronnie, but I didn't know you were that well known. Thank you so much, please do. Ronnie immediately sprang into action. He began a thorough investigation into Bob's actions, leveraging his extensive network in the financial industry. To gather evidence of Bob's misconduct and infidelity, he checked internal bank information, transaction records, and even spoke with Bob's acquaintances. Ronnie's investigation progressed smoothly, and gradually, the evidence of Bob's wrongdoing and affair came to light. Finally, the day arrived when it all came out into the open. The events in the hospital room were the result of the investigation that began with my consultation with Ronnie. The documents Ronnie scattered were filled with evidence of Bob's infidelity. The tension in the room was palpable, and Bob's face turned pale. "Bob, there's so much evidence of your affair."
So what? We're getting divorced anyway.
"That's why these documents proving your infidelity are necessary. This is what you did. Your exchanges with Karen Brown. I want to see you. I had a great time today. All of this is documented as evidence." I pointed to one of the pieces of evidence.
Yeah, so what? I'm serious about Karen. That's why I asked you for our divorce.
Bob answered calmly. "You're divorcing me to marry Karen, right?"
Yeah, that's right. We'll get married soon, so just sign the divorce papers right now.
"But you know, Karen, I feel sorry for you. You really don't know anything, do you?" "What are you talking about?" Karen asked, her voice filled with doubt. "The evidence here isn't just about you, Karen. Bob, you've been involved with other women too." I picked up another document and showed it to her. "Really? There are others?" "Look, see for yourself. This person and this one too."
So what if there are others? We're getting divorced anyway.
It's not okay. You're still seeing other women even though you have me?
Come on, I'm a banker. I have a promising future, and women just can't stay away. But once I marry Karen, I'll be good. We're not married yet, right?
Yeah, you better behave once we're married.
Karen seemed unsure, but appeared to be swayed by Bob's words. Bob justifies himself like this, and everyone falls for it.
Catherine, I'm truly sorry for my son. I'll make sure he pays the alimony you ask for, whatever it takes. Just let me know the amount you need. That includes child support too.
Ronnie said, his voice filled with apology. "Thank you, Ronnie. Bob, I won't settle for a penny less. And I want it all paid in one lump sum. Here, take this." I handed over the documents. My best friend, Emma, is actually a competent lawyer. After deciding to get my divorce, I had consulted with her at her law firm. "I've made up my mind to get my divorce. I can't even think about continuing my marriage with Bob. That's why I wanted to talk to you, Emma. I need to know how to handle alimony and child support."
I understand. I'll support you every step of the way. First, we need to gather solid evidence of Bob's affair. The photos you found on social media and the messages on his phone will be crucial evidence.
"Thanks, Emma. With this, I'll have an advantage in the divorce, right?"
Yes, exactly. With this evidence, you can demand appropriate alimony and child support from Bob. It's important to protect Ken's rights too.
You're right. I need to make sure I'm fully prepared for Ken's sake. No matter how hard it is for me, I have to protect Ken's future.
I understand how you feel, Catherine. That's why we as lawyers are here to support you.
Emma then proceeded to draft a settlement agreement based on the facts.
Here it is, the settlement agreement for alimony and child support. It's based on solid evidence, so you can make a rightful claim against Bob. I'm always on your side, Catherine. Now go get what you deserve.
Thank you, Emma. With Emma's help, the settlement agreement for alimony and child support was finalized. I handed the agreement to Bob. Everything, including the amount and conditions, is written here. Please review and sign it.
Sure, no problem. With my dad backing me, I'm going to be a director soon. I can pay whatever alimony you want.
Bob gave a defiant smile. Oh, really? I recorded that. You're definitely going to pay everything in full and all at once.
Fine, just fill out the divorce papers and file them.
Yes, I'll submit them right after this. But is this the only wrongdoing you've been up to? There's more, isn't there? Ronnie?
Yeah, that's right. Here's undeniable proof.
Ronnie scattered another stack of documents.
Take a good look at this.
Hey, what are these documents?
Bob looked panicked. Your wrongdoing doesn't stop at infidelity, does it?
What you did at the bank has been exposed too.
What are you talking about? What did he do at the bank?
Karen asked, her voice filled with doubt. A defiant Bob said something like this.
I can do whatever I want. I'm about to become a department head and climb the corporate ladder.
Oh, really? What we have here is evidence that you illegally diverted client funds. Do you think this won't cause problems?
Wait, any evidence?
Bob started to get nervous.
Here's exactly what happened.
Ronnie showed him the documents he held.
This is proof that you used your client funds to make illegal stock trades. You moved money from your clients' accounts and used it for your personal investments. For example, this transaction on May 15th. You withdrew $100,000 from the client's account, used it to buy stocks, and then pocketed the profits into your own account. This is clearly illegal. And here are the details of how you spent that money. Buying luxury cars, going on lavish trips, all paid for with your client's money. The evidence is all right here.
No way, all of that. I can't believe this.
This is the end of your future, Bob. The bank won't protect you, and neither will we. As evidence of Bob's misconduct and infidelity continued to surface, his bravado crumbled. After a heavy silence filled the room, Bob collapsed to the floor in despair.
Catherine, please, give me one more chance.
I'm divorcing you, so it's not my problem. You'll have to deal with the consequences of your actions, Bob. At that moment, Bob reached out to Ronnie.
Dad, please help me.
Bob crawled at Ronnie's feet and begged him. Ronnie looked down at him coldly and sighed deeply.
Bob, it seems you don't understand the consequences of your actions at all. Do you have any idea how much I've supported you over the years?
Dad, I know, but I really need your help now. Please, just one more chance.
Bob pleaded, tears streaming down his face.
Have you ever considered the extent of what you've done?
Ronnie continued in a stern voice.
Do you know how much I've done to support you since the day you joined the company?
Dad, I think I do.
No, you don't. When you first joined, you were a rookie with no experience in the industry. I used my connections to get you on important projects to build your experience. Many of your colleagues opposed it, but I convinced them and kept giving you chances.
Ronnie's voice grew angrier.
Do you remember the first time you made a mistake? You caused a significant loss with an important client's funds. Normally, you would have been fired, but I covered the loss, took responsibility, and protected you. Even when you kept making mistakes, I never abandoned you.
Ronnie spoke as if recalling the memories.
And every time you were promoted, do you know how hard I worked for you? When you got promoted, I had to bow to many executives, highlight your achievements, and recommend you. I used my credibility to cover for your shortcomings and pull you up.
Ronnie's voice was icy.
Dad, I know. I'm grateful for everything. That's why, just one more time.
Grateful. How have you shown that gratitude through your actions? You betrayed my efforts, got involved in illegal activities, and hurt many people. Did you ever think about how I felt when I found out you were living a luxurious life off of your clients' money? Bob, do you have any idea how much I've sacrificed to get you to this point? I've used all the trust and connections I've built to protect and support you, but you betrayed all of that and disgraced me.
Dad, I'm really sorry, but please, just help me one more time.
Bob clung to Ronnie's feet.
Bob, the ones I should be helping are Catherine and Ken, not you. You need to accept your mistakes and bear the consequences. Don't trouble me any further.
Ronnie spoke firmly and turned his back on Bob.
Dad, wait, please.
Bob tried to reach out to him with the last of his strength, but Ronnie walked away without looking back. Bob collapsed on the spot. As I watched him, I hoped that he would fully accept the consequences of his actions from now on. Afterward, I immediately submitted the divorce papers to the courthouse. Later, with Emma, my lawyer, present, I officially filed claims for alimony and child support against Bob and Karen. The settlement agreement that Emma had prepared detailed the exact amounts and payment terms. Bob and Karen grimaced as they read through the documents. Bob momentarily flared with anger at the amount, but quickly regained his composure and reluctantly accepted it. Bob still believed he could stay at the bank, so he thought that paying the alimony and child support was the best way to protect his future.
Fine, I'll pay. But this is the end of it.
Yes, let's end it here. We won't rely on you anymore. We'll use this money for Ken's future. Karen didn't say anything, just silently signed the papers. After completing the payment process, Bob and Karen left. A few days later, the lump sum payment from Bob and Karen was completed. A substantial amount was deposited into my account. This sum reflected the pain and suffering Bob had caused us. My marriage is truly over now. I muttered to myself as I looked at my bank account. Thanks to Emma's help, I was able to finalize the divorce on favorable terms and secure the funds necessary for Ken's future. The next day, Bob's day at the bank began as usual. He felt relieved that he still had his position at the bank and continued with his daily tasks. But that day, everything changed.
Bob, I need to talk to you.
His supervisor, Sean, said quietly.
What is it?
Bob tried to stay calm, but a sense of unease crept in.
Please come with me.
Sean led Bob to a conference room. Inside, a few senior executives and internal auditors were waiting. The tension in the room was palpable as Sean spoke.
Bob, a serious issue has come to light regarding your actions. We need you to answer our questions truthfully.
Issue? What are you talking about?
Bob couldn't hide his anxiety. The internal auditor spread out documents, presenting evidence of Bob's misconduct one after another.
Take a look at these transaction records. They show that you illegally diverted your client funds for personal investments.
What evidence? I didn't do anything like that.
Bob desperately denied the accusations, but the expressions on the faces of the executives were cold.
Bob, this evidence is irrefutable. You've committed serious violations and severely damaged the bank's reputation.
Sean said sternly.
No.
Moreover, it's been revealed that you used your client funds to live lavishly with your mistress. This is also criminal behavior.
Bob was completely at a loss for words. At that moment, the conference room door opened and several police officers walked in.
Bob Williams, you're under arrest for fraud and embezzlement.
Wait, this is a misunderstanding. I'm innocent.
Bob frantically protested, but the officers handcuffed him and led him away.
No, this isn't right.
You can explain at the station.
No, this can't be happening.
Bob being placed in the police car quickly attracted media attention. Cameras captured the scene, and it was soon reported as breaking news. I was at home with Ken when it happened. I turned on the TV, and a breaking news alert flashed on the screen.
This just in. A senior employee at a major bank, Bob Williams, has been arrested on charges of fraud and embezzlement.
I was shocked to hear his name. Bob arrested? At that moment, the phone rang. Emma's name appeared on the screen.
Catherine, are you watching TV?
Yes, I just saw it. I can't believe Bob was actually arrested.
I'm shocked too, but now his crimes have been exposed. You were right all along.
But how am I supposed to explain this to Ken?
Catherine, you're strong. You'll get through this for Ken's sake. I'm here to support you no matter what.
The TV screen showed Bob being led into the police car. Reporters bombarded him with questions.
Bob, do you have any comment on the allegations? Why did you do it?
Bob said nothing, staring blankly ahead. This is the consequence of Bob's actions. The anchorman continued.
Bob Williams is accused of illegally diverting his client funds for personal use. The police will conduct a further detailed investigation.
Over the phone, Emma said,
Catherine, the real battle starts now. Forget about Bob and let's focus on building a better future for you and Ken.
Thank you, Emma. Having you by my side gives me so much strength. We have no choice but to keep moving forward. After that, Bob was found guilty in court and sentenced to prison. Life in prison was harsh. He spent his days enduring hard labor and strict discipline, with plenty of time to reflect on his actions. But Bob's punishment didn't end there. The damages owed to the bank were enormous, and even after his release, he faced a lifetime of debt repayment. After leaving prison, Bob found that returning to the banking industry was out of the question. He ended up in a rural town working low-wage manual labor jobs. He worked tirelessly, barely sleeping, with most of his poor income going toward paying off his debts. There was no one around to sympathize with him, and Bob spent his days in isolation and despair. Meanwhile, Karen had also grown weary of her relationship with Bob. His arrest was the final straw, and she decided to cut ties with him. However, Karen still had to pay alimony to me and also had debts of her own. Reluctantly, she took on night work, leading a life of endless labor both day and night. Their child, Sam, was caught in the middle of his parents' failures and faced a bleak future. Karen, unable to support Sam while working, was forced to give him up for adoption to relatives who couldn't have children of their own. Thus, Sam was raised in a new environment, completely cut off from his parents. As for Bob, who was overwhelmed by the daily grind of rural labor, he could do nothing but lament the life he had lost. Abandoned by Karen and estranged from his child, he continued to work alone, burdened by debt, surrounded by loneliness and despair.
How did it come to this? This wasn't supposed to happen.
His life once full of glory and stability, had turned into a living hell. The day when he would find happiness again never came. Bob spent the rest of his life crushed under the weight of his mistakes, living in debt and loneliness. Meanwhile, weeks passed after Bob's arrest, and our lives gradually began to settle down. With the support of my in-laws, I was preparing to take the next steps forward. One day, Ronnie approached me.
Catherine, I'd like to talk to you. Do you have a moment?
Of course, Ronnie. Ronnie and I sat down in the living room and began to talk.
Catherine, what are your plans going forward?
Actually, I've been thinking about returning to work. Now that Ken is in elementary school, I want to become independent.
That's a wonderful decision. Not only do I want you to return to work, but I want to help you find a place where you can truly use your talents.
What do you mean?
There's a bank run by an old friend of mine, and they have an opening for a secretary. Given your background and skills, I think it would be a perfect fit.
Really? Ronnie, thank you so much.
This is a recognition of your hard work and talent. Go in with your confidence.
A few days later, I went for an interview at that bank and successfully got the jobs. On my first day at the new workplace, I was nervous but filled with hope.
You must be Catherine Williams. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it as well. I gave him a firm handshake. Meanwhile, my son Ken was happily attending his school. One day, after coming home from school, Ken spoke to me.
Mom, I want to work in a bank like Grandpa.
Is that so? Ken, that's a wonderful dream. Grandpa will be so proud. That evening, Ronnie visited our home. Ken ran up to him and cheerfully announced,
Grandpa, I want to be a banker just like you.
Ronnie's eyes lit up as he smiled.
That's great to hear, Ken. I'll do everything I can to help you achieve your dream.
With Ronnie's warm support, we embarked on our new life. We knew that many challenges awaited us, but we renewed our determination to move forward, trusting in our family bonds. With the guidance and support of my in-laws, I would balance work and home, raising Ken to be a fine young man. And I eagerly looked forward to the day when Ken would achieve his dream and contribute to society as an accomplished banker.